Committee meeting for June 7th. I am joined by Mr. Flynn and Ms. Vaccaro. It is 6 o'clock on the dot, and we will bring the meeting to order. Second item on the agenda, any comments, suggestions, petitions by residents in attendance on items not on the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to number 3, Public Works Report. Everyone had a chance to take a look at that. If you have any questions, I understand Mr. Edwards is here with us tonight. Excellent. Perhaps you'd like to come up, say a few words, introduce yourself. No more than a half hour, please.
Thank you. I'm Don Edwards. I'm the new Public Works Director. Real excited to be here in Westchester. I've always admired Westchester and really happy to be working for Sean and hope that can do some good things. So the report this month was pretty short. Paving of the roads is the big thing right now. But I've been getting involved with different things over the past couple weeks, and be happy to answer questions, whatever I can.
Just one question about the paving schedule. It's for June, or I assume also that goes into through the rest of the season here. So you'll release that every month.
Whenever there's an update, and yes, we'll communicate that as much as we need to. Sure. All right.
Okay. Wastewater report.
Sean Mitchell from Goose Creek. Mike was supposed to be here, but he went home ill today. His tertiary filter system is on schedule. Most of the construction, hard construction is completed. The precast wet well was lowered into position the other day, a couple weeks ago with the crane. All the block was installed on the outside of the building. They're still waiting on a few doors and windows. The electricians are in now, and they're still shooting for a early August date for that to be completed, put on. So far, some testing has followed up that it's improved a lot. So we're waiting for it to fully be on and go from there. At Goose Creek, we finally hired our 3 new staff. They are trained, working weekends, so there's no technical overtime except for holidays, vacation. All of our spring maintenance was completed in this past month with the oil change, lubrications, and inspections. We also did our quarterly pump station clean out and inspections. All 4 are in good shape and ready to go.
Item C, Parks and Recreation report.
Good evening, Keith Krowski, Director of Parks and Recreation. I'm going to go over a couple different items. First, I'll go over events and activities. I handed each one of you a copy of the Westchester Press, kind of using them as my marketing arm to get out information about the camps and programs, events that we're running this summer. As I said earlier, we used to publish our own activities guide 3 times a year at a cost of about $25,000 to $30,000. This is a third of that. But it's getting out the information about pretty much our busiest season, which is this summer. We just had our Turkcent Music Festival on Sunday. In my 18 years here, it was the best and most well-attended. Again, as I said, Mother Nature had quite a bit to do with that, but with any event, there was a lot of planning, a lot of coordination, a lot of efforts from a lot of people, and I was really surprised and happy by the outpouring of volunteers that I got. I changed some things up from years previous about getting some of the support and some of the setup done more on Saturday than I usually do. Kind of took a chance hoping that no one would mess with our equipment overnight, and no one did, thank goodness. So it actually relieved me of some of the duties I normally would do on Sunday. I had probably, not including my backstage crew, long story short, my backstage crew has been there since almost as long as I've been alive. These guys they helped out Kathy McBratney, like the original person who started this event. They helped build the stage. They take care of the bands, getting them in and out, the parking issues. They're an amazing set of guys, and they've literally been coming out for like 40 years. So without them, I have no idea how I would pull this off. But we had high school students, university students, people just coming out and wanting to help in any way, shape, or form, whether it was for an hour or two or if they were there all day. It was great. And like I said, everything I've heard from everyone, I've heard no negatives from the police, from the ambulance crews, couple bump knees, something along those lines, but nothing major. So, and once I get all the numbers figured out, overall, the event was a complete success. And I'm very happy that I moved it from July to June because, like I said, Mother Nature was definitely a key factor. In that activities guide or that brochure you have, it goes over some of the events and activities. I'll just touch on a couple real quick. Kind of going along with that theme is we have our summer concert series. Since we no longer have Swinging Summer Thursdays, I've kind of taken that idea from downtown and I'm moving it into the parks. This year is Hoops Park on June 30th, Everhart on July 14th, and then I'm doing one at Greenfield Park, kind of quote unquote a stadium style concert on August 11th. And then next year I'll do 3 different parks. And then next year after that, I'll do 3 more parks. I also have a summer movie nights in the parks. There's 2 that'll be taking place at John O'Green and Greenfield. Greenfield, Bernie will like this. We're going to show the Sandlot at a baseball field. Why not? I have several summer camps that are running. These are all third-party subcontracted camps. We're not hiring anyone in-house. There's no in-house staffing provided. We contract with XYZ company to bring a soccer program, football program, science, chess, you name it, to our different parks. Basically, our parks are our home bases for these programs and activities. With that said, that gets us moving forward to our next big event, which would be our Touch a Truck Day in August. I'm actually combining my efforts with the Westchester Police Department, and this was actually a thing brought to me by Mike Perrone. Those 2 events are similar, not the same, but we coordinate a lot of the efforts from the emergency responders, the ambulance crews, fire, police. We're going to bring them together and kind of have a Touch a Truck / Night Out Against Crime sometime in August. I'm working with Dave March downstairs to try and get those efforts coordinated. I don't have a lot more information on that now, but beyond that, we're looking at the Restaurant Festival on September 18th, the Halloween Parade on October 26th, followed by a bunch of holiday events in early December. With that, I kind of want to get from the programming and events into the maintenance and park aspect of things. Going over a list of activities, or I shouldn't say a list of projects that have been completed in the last, say, 4 to 6 weeks. As many of you had seen, we installed the new Mutt Mitt dispensers with the biodegradable bags, kind of keeping up with the theme of the borough with the single bag or the single plastic bag use application. We wanted to do something that was environmentally friendly, kind of lead the way on that. Ironically enough, they're environmentally friendly and they're cheaper than the ones we've had before. With that being said, you have to be careful when you're handling the bags. They are a little thinner than the ones we've had before. Our Public Works Department, who I coordinate virtually all of these efforts with, and Don and I will be working, Don, and I will all be working together with these activities as we move forward. Going through some of the parks quickly. Around the new playground at Everhart Park, the Friends of Everhart Park were a huge effort, put in a lot of time and effort on this to put up the orange fencing to protect the grass because no one was obeying by the signs we had. So while it looks unsightly right now, there is a purpose behind that. We wanted to save the grass, get a good seed and root going. Those fences will be coming down the next couple weeks. We installed the new welcome sign at the park. We installed new permanent trash cans. We painted the old swings to a new metallic color to match the rest of the playground. Moving over to Bayard Rustin Park, and I'll get into this. Thank you to this committee and to the council in general. You approved my proposal to upgrade the fall zones at 4 parks that desperately needed it. We've already done so at Kathy McBratney Park. Next up on June 14th and 15th, we'll get the EWF, which is the engineered wood fiber, delivered to Bayard Rustin, and that'll be taken care of. And then 2 weeks later, we'll be doing Veterans Park and Horace Pippin Park. We're coordinating those efforts, obviously, with the supplier where we get the EWF from. Moving ahead to Barclay Park, we supplied them with wood chips and some general maintenance for their spring cleanup. Over to Greenfield Park, and this was literally done yesterday, I believe. We replaced 3 of the lights in the light towers, so you have better view of baseballs and softballs flying at you. There was issues with the bathrooms that were corrected. We had about, I forget how many tons of infield mix dropped off the park, and we actually had a group that uses the facility come out as volunteers and help spread that infield mix around the park. We upgraded the toilets in general. Moving to Marshall Square, obviously we just had a brand new 2 to 5-year-old playground area installed there. Again, huge shout out to the Friends of Marshall Square. They put in a lot of time and effort on the project, not to mention a significant amount of monies to support that project. Then going over to Hoops Park, there were some issues with curb paintings along Hoops Park Lane in West Ashbridge that were kind of a line of sight issue. Public Works took care of that. And then there was a tree that fell down on the fence at Farley Field, the adult baseball field, and Public Works took care of that. Again, moving forward, the key aspects of what we're looking to do is upgrade those remaining fall zones at the park. John O. Green Park, which is our only water play park in the borough, has kind of been a thorn in my side since I've been here. With the poured in place rubber, anywhere there's a seam that is glued, we basically have a river for 10 hours a day, 7 days a week. And that's been an issue. We believe in speaking with the original installers and the manufacturers that we've come up with a solution to fix that problem, hopefully in a long term. The Public Works Department has coordinated efforts to fix the seam tearing issues on a short term. That's already been done and the park is up and running. And then in the fall, when the park gets shut down, we have a plan in place, which I'll be coming back to with more information and cost, that we think will be able to eliminate this issue moving forward. Again, if you go down there where there's not water, we don't have issues. Where there's constantly running water, we have issues. So those are just a couple of things we have moving forward in regards to the park projects. And I've been working with the Recreation Commission literally for the last 4 months, even when I was still working remotely from home. We're compiling our 5-year CAP project list. The list started with about 200 projects and like $7 million estimated. We've whittled that significantly down. And at our meeting at the end of this month, we'll hopefully have a working project list moving forward that I will then take and get actual or as close to actual figures as possible to bring back to this committee and the Finance Committee for approval into the 2023 budget. That's everything I have for right now.
Yeah, just one question to the last point. I know we talked at some point about doing a sort of a master planning
Yes, sir.
study. Is that part of the
That is the
200?
That is
that
the
you're
number
whittling down?
one plan/project that we want to see moving forward into the next capital budget. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, I only have one question. Down at McBratney Park,
Yes.
the old railroad ties that were used for the perimeter, we just covered them over with the engineered wood chips.
Yes.
Are we going to yank them out?
Yes. I apologize. I didn't mention that. We're waiting for the borders. We've ordered the borders. It's in place. We are waiting on the supply chain efforts like everyone else. I was told end of July, beginning of August that we would have those in place. And literally when those come in, we'll just take out the old railroad ties and put in the new plastic borders. You technically don't need borders to be compliant. It makes it look nicer. It keeps everything in place, obviously, but you don't need the borders. The old railroad ties, I don't know what we'll do with them after the fact, but the new plastic ones will hopefully be in place for the next 25 years.
Is there a slide coming for Kathy McBratney?
Oh, I apologize. Yes, the slide has been ordered. Again, I was told end of July. It's the same company. I was told the end of, and in my, again, that's in an area that's closest to the university. The slides just don't break like that. So it was definitely a vandalism effort to split a double slide in half at the exact same place. Again, it's been ordered. It will be taken care of. As soon as we get it in, it'll be up the next day, if not the same day. Yes. Oh, I'm still here. I'm on the D too. Do you want me right to it? The mowing and mulching efforts. I had a meeting virtually with the Friends of Everhart, the Friends of Marshall, and the Friends of Hoops Park, probably mid to late March. The concerns that were brought forth was kind of twofold. The company that we are currently using, JHL, they're not happy with their services. I think in overall, the borough is happy with the services. We are at the end of a 3-year contract, so we will be drafting a new RFP for these services. The mulching aspect is at the end of the year, late fall, early winter, when the borough puts in significant time and efforts at the parks to corral the leaves with the support of the Friends groups, and then we either take them away, or as the Friends of Marshall Square Park have done, they hired a third-party sub to come out and actually mulch them up into a fine grain material that then gets absorbed back into the ground. The efforts we're looking forward with the new RFP would be how it's written, that we would work that language or work that perspective of the job into the new RFP, that whoever's hired would have to do this. You need a different type of equipment. You need a different kind of blade. You need a different kind of tractor in order to do this. My question to the committee, and I guess to the council in general, if it's a net negative, or a net neutral, excuse me, where it's not costing the borough anything different, it's a no-brainer. Do we need to do it? I don't believe we have to. Would it be a betterment to the parks? Sure. One of the ways we think we can save money if this changes things a bit is we don't need as many mows in July and August. The grass just isn't growing as it does. It's the dry season, just not growing. So if we can shave off mows in the mid to late summer, save money there, and incorporate this new aspect into the RFP for the new mowing/mulching contract, if it's neutral, great. I did speak with my my counterparts at West Goshen, East Goshen, and Willistown. They don't do it. Not saying you have to, not saying it's not good or bad. It could be a betterment to the parks if it doesn't cost any more to the borough. One thing that, and I've worked as much as Public Works probably as anyone with the Friends groups. We wouldn't have that amazing playground at Everhart Park without the Friends. We wouldn't have the playground over at Marshall Square without the Friends. Their efforts are appreciated, and they put countless hours in. The way I like to kind of make it seem is the borough can afford a Ford, and the Friends want a Ferrari. Where do we split that difference, and how do we make that work? In some places, the Friends groups go above and beyond. Our Friends groups go above and beyond, both financially and with volunteer efforts. It'll be up to the committee and council to decide if this new RFP comes back for $20,000 above what we're currently paying. Are those worth these efforts? Are these worth the monies? Or would that be then placed back to the Friends groups? That's kind of going to be my question to you guys. I think this project, again, if it's net neutral, why not do it? It'll be a betterment to the parks. We haven't done in the past, excuse me, the parks are doing okay. Could they do better? Sure. But we'll have to see. I don't see any of the Friends folks here with me. They were going to speak a little bit more on the technical terms about how this would go down. The Friends of Marshall Square Park use another company called Andrews Lawn Care, I believe. They hire them separately at about $800 a mulching, and they do it twice in late November, early December, pending the weather. So that's $1,600 for that one park. Now, if we do that at 7 or 8 parks, what are those costs going to look like? But we're not incorporating, minusing or nixing out the mows in July and August. So they asked for this to be on the agenda. I do think it could be a good idea as long as it doesn't cost the borough money. If it does cost us more, where do we go from there? Sure. Everything that's down. On another note too, it would save our Public Works Department a significant amount of time that they put into collecting and corralling all of those leaves and helping the Friends groups and taking care of these parks in that aspect. So that could be another savings if you think about it, where those guys could be out doing something else as opposed to wrangling leaves in the late fall. It'll be a betterment to the parks, I would assume, come spring, once those nutrients from those leaves and whatnot are absorbed back into the ground. We've never really done it before on a wide scale through all the parks. Like I said, the Friends of Marshall Square did that as of their own accord for the last 2 years, I believe. Yeah, right, correct. It would just be shredding, just like you're mowing, but you're shredding leaves, yes. We cannot. We cannot. We are not allowed. We do not spray anything. The only thing we have sprayed, and he's done it, is a vinegar mixture with salt and vinegar, I believe. And not very effective.
Well, let's put it this way. I smell like an Easter egg because the wind's always blowing and it lasts for about 2 weeks. And it seems to feed the weeds and the poison ivy. So I just gave that up. It doesn't work.
And that,
No.
it may do something along those lines in the betterment of the growing of grass moving forward, because it's, you're just taking the natural resources that are already there and on the ground and just grinding them up into a finer material. Like I said, we've never done it on a large scale. And would it be worth an efforts to look at it for the next 3 years on the new mowing / mulching contract? Possibly. Again, my biggest concern is the cost.
Yeah, Mr. McCoy, if the Don Cube team can do the cost analysis for what it costs us to do the three major parks, the historic parks, the labor for the Parks and Rec, for the Public Works team to do it, and you can, as Keith said, it could be cost neutral by using a mulching machine. What it does, it just grinds up everything so it's into a powder instead of clumpy leaves all over the place. Now, the Friends of Everhard Park, they didn't like the way it was done because they didn't have that type of blade on their ride-behind mowers or their mowers that they use. They just chopped up the leaves indiscriminately around the yard. So that's why they weren't happy with it. But the parks actually like to have the leaves remain on the ground, chopped up, because the nutrients go back into the soil instead of carrying them away and taking them down to Snyder Avenue.
I completely understand asking for just the three big parks, but I live very close to Kathy McBratney, and in the fall, those leaves are horrific in that park. And it's just a flat piece of land. Like it's just a giant pile of leaves all across that park, and it sits and it's gross.
Well, Kathy McBratton Park, in order to understand the mulching process, Kathy McBratton should actually be removed because the leaves down there are as big as my hand because they come off of those trees. Yeah. So McBratton, Keith's going to have to become a horticulturist to go around and look at the different parks. But McBratton, those leaves fall and stay. They don't leave. And they could be 2-3 inches thick down there. So that if you try to mulch them, you would kill everything. That has to be kind of removed at that point. But the larger parks, you can spread it out and do it and just blow it around the different parks. So
We'll have to look at it. I mean, the big three are the ones that came, the big three main parks, but it could be advanced to other parks that may need it. It's some of the research we'll have to do between now and the end of the year when we look to put out the new RFP. Yeah. Thank you.
So Mike Dunn can actually write citations legitimately to the people that are breaking the ordinances in the borough. And he can also represent us because he understands the arborist role in front of the two local judges. And we don't have to make settlements. So although he is an outside contractor, the fact is he's been appointed our arborist, and he knows all of our trees, so it's important.
We would suggest that hearing take place July 20th at 6:30.
I have no issues with him.
Yeah, I do have one item for the committee's consideration. While Bill gets the presentation ready, Greenfield Park has been the subject of stormwater management improvements ever since really the stream protection fee got going back to 2017. So there's Greenfield Park and Greenview Alley. It's a small little league field, isn't it, Keith? Like, it's not quite big enough for grown-ups to play in, but probably a great park to play in if you're younger. And there's a parking area of roughly, you want to call it 50 spots there to the south and west. Go on to the next slide for us. So 5 years ago, there was this
Well, I spend a lot of time at Greenfield. Matter of fact, I even donated a lawnmower. And it does flood. The college kids totally trash Greenfield, during the school year. It is a mess. The concrete curb butts, I don't know what you call them, where you stop your car. I don't know what they're actually called. Uh, Many of them are missing. Many of them are torn out, upside down. It is a mess down there. And when Goose Creek when it decides to rain, and when Goose Creek decides to spill, the kids actually use rubber rafts and canoe on Franklin Avenue. It's pretty unique. Uh, It's, it's going to be money well spent, because it's going to hopefully alleviate some of the water runoff, from the apartment building that comes down the alley. And with the college students away, it gives us flexibility where we don't lose money from parking, because when they come back, they rent the spaces in the parking lot as well. So to Mr. Metrick's point, it's, if we have the funding to do it, the summertime is probably the best time to do it, because that apartment building's empty. And I noticed this week that the landlords are starting to flip their rentals. So the kids are starting to repack their houses for August. So it's, my only scare is I put rain gardens in there. The kids just, they don't respect the green area in between the two parking lots. They just trash everything there. So I don't know how effective the rain gardens would be. So.
I've spent a good amount of time there with younger kids who are using the fields and whatnot, and the parking lots are being utilized by adults at those times, but it's obviously a somewhat trashed area. And I do have a belief that if we sort of elevate the aesthetics of the area, it elevates the behavior as well. But in knowing the rain gardens down on Sharpless and Niels, I would question who is going to be maintaining the rain gardens. These are not, questions that need to be asked or answered tonight. These are just questions that definitely need to be answered. I think it's a wonderful idea. I think that whole area could use a serious boost aesthetically, and just some care is always a welcome improvement there.
Just a couple of questions. So with the parking lot part of the project not being done, that doesn't have to be done in order to have the grading to the rain gardens? And then to the point of the curb blocks, how does the water flow into the rain gardens if there are curb blocks along the entire thing?
Yeah, right now they're curb stops. So picture a parking space that's 20 feet long. At about 14, 16 feet into the parking space is a concrete, we've all seen them, like it's maybe 5 feet wide, that stops your front tire from going any further. That's what's there today.
So
So
the
water
water
can
has
go
to flow-
around it. Yeah, there's plenty of room, and also if we really pay attention to it, actually the curb stops they sit on feet. Yeah, so you can actually get a little bit of water under them too. But yeah, water under and around them, that's not an issue. You do have curbs at the horizontal planting islands where the trees are. Yes. And some of those curbs will have to be breached when we put the pipe in the center median. It does drain. The engineer has looked at it. I'm not going to say it wouldn't improve if we could get out there and, mill and repave a parking lot. That way you do have control over, drainage issue. You can fine tune things. And I don't know when that was last paved. It's pretty old looking.
Yeah.
But it does
Yeah,
drain today.
The borough actually put a runoff spot by the flagpole on that side, going into on the opposite side of the bridge. And it's actually a cutout. And that they put crushed stone in there, then they put some grass so that the water could actually come from the parking lot and go into the upper end of Goose Creek right there. But without paving, we're gonna, it's gonna have a lot of puddles. I mean, it's in dire need of.
It's extended through July of '23.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Yeah. I make a motion that we amend the agenda and include the Greenfield Park stormwater improvements be considered.
And I second that.